All right. Shalom, everyone. I'm Brother Doug, as always, with one of the leaders of the Awakened by Yahuwah Assembly and Yahuwah Almighty Yahushua Messiah. Today, we're going to be continuing the study of the Torah readings we've been doing week after week. So, right now, and just so I want to make sure you guys can hear me here. So, we're going to be doing a continuation today of our Torah readings, and we're going to be going to, let's see here. So what I want to do is share, uh, let's see here, photo, document, web. Okay, my shared screen's acting a little weird. That's wonderful. Anyway, so it's probably just some new update with Zoom, whatever. All right, so I can't really share my whole screen like I would want to do. So what I'll do for you guys today is I'll just do the reading as a physical reading, and I could share with you guys the link to read it for yourselves. Is what I could do. So just kind of hold on, guys. I'm gonna get my targums out here and my Septuagint. I'll do a side-by-side reading here of the Targums with the Septuagint. So just bear with me really quick. I'm going to pause. All right. All right. Sorry, everyone, for the long pause there. So we're going to be starting Leviticus 13 today. So just bear with me here, guys. I'll be reading from Leviticus 13 in my Lexham English Septuagint, which, okay, what the heck? Which, by the way, is an English translation based on Henry Sweet's Greek Septuagint, which you can find and test for yourselves the actual original Greek of it from the text family he uses is on BibleHub.com, so you can find that. And I'll be reading it side by side with this. Okay. The Aramaic Targum of Jonathan. Okay. All right. Mainly the only reason I'm using the Jonathan one for the most part is because for the most part it's one of the three main Targums of the Pentateuch. This one at least barely has any omitted verses. So that's mainly why I'm using the Targum of Jonathan, even though I'm more of a fan of the Targum of Vankelos and the Targum of Jerusalem. The Jerusalem Targum, but the Jerusalem Targum is very fragmented, as most of us know that I've actually read through it. And the Onkelos one, there's no real differences. The Onkelos Targum actually agrees with the Septuagint almost 100% of the time. So just to see the differences that might be there. So anyway, I'm trying something out, guys. I'm on my LG Stylo 6 recording. So see if does any different today. So let's see here. Okay. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys, for the let's see here. All right, so Leviticus 13. All right, so I'm just going to pull up Leviticus 13 here. 13. Okay. Just bear with me, guys. I'm trying to do this side by side here. So, of course, my stupid, idiotic shared screen doesn't want to work. for the phone. Doesn't want to give me the option to share my whole screen, so please bear with me, guys. Okay. Okay, here. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy one, and we probably will only do one chapter today. Let's see here. Basically, for time's sake, since there's almost like 50 verses in this chapter. Okay. All right. Here we go. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, if a glaring, significant mark happens to anyone on the skin of his flesh, an infection of skin disease develops in the skin of his flesh, and if a hair, marks have the skin of flesh, and then he will be brought to Aaron, the priest, or one of the sons of the priest, and the priest will examine the infection in the skin of his flesh. And if the hair in the infected area has turned white and the appearance of the infected area is deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is an infection of skin disease, and the priest will examine it and will declare him unclean. But if it is shiny white at the skin of his flesh and its appearance is not deep below its skin, and its hair has not changed to white hair, but it is dark, then the priest will set the infection apart for 7 days. Then the priest will observe the infection on the 7th day, and behold, the infection is present before him. The infection has not changed in the skin. Then the priest will set him apart for 7 days. A second time, then the priest will observe him on the 7th day. A second time, and behold, the infection is faint. The infection in the skin has not changed. The priest will make purification for him, for it is a mark when his garments have been washed. He will be clean. But if the mark in the skin has changed and become different after the priest has examined him to purify him, then he will appear before the priest the second time, and the priest will observe him, and behold, the mark has changed in the skin, and the priest will declare him unclean, for it is a skin disease. Okay. And an infection of skin disease, if it occurs on a person, he comes to the priest, and the priest will look and behold a white mark on the skin, and it has turned the white hair and some of the healthy part of the skin of his flesh, and the priest will declare him unclean and will set him. Okay, hold on. Is it Christian person? And the priest will look and behold a white mark on the skin, and has turned white hair, and some of the healthy part of the flesh is living in the affected area. It is aging skin disease. It is in the skin of his flesh. It is in the skin of his flesh, and the priest will declare to him unclean and will set him apart because he is unclean. But if the skin disease blooming blooms in the skin, and the skin disease covers all the skin of the infected area from his head to his feet, according to the whole vision of the priest, then the priest will examine it. And behold, the skin disease has covered all the skin of his flesh. Then the priest will pronounce him clean from the infection, because all has changed to white. He is clean. So what I'm seeing so far is there is a spiritual application to this. Seems like kind of like I see a connection here to Yahusha, because he turns our sins red to white, right? So the skin disease, the physical skin disease, you could kind of spiritually, in a way, you can connect to how our sins make us blemished before the Father, but the blood of Yahusha caused us to turn white, right? And it says on the seventh day, he is to be inspected by the priest. So Yahusha is our high priest in the Melchizedek priesthood. So I'm kind of just seeing a spiritual application here. Just thought I would mention that. Okay. Skin disease blemish. Okay. All right, I think I was at, okay. Then the priest will examine, and behold, the skin disease has covered all the skin of his flesh. Then the priest will pronounce him clean from the infection, because all has changed to white. He is clean, and on the day living flesh appears on him, he will be unclean. And the priest will look at the healthy flesh, and behold, the healthy flesh makes him unclean, because it is unclean. It is a skin disease. But if the healthy flesh is restored and has turned white, then he will come to the priest, and the priest will look, and behold, an infection has changed to white. Then the priest will clear the infection. It is clean. Okay. Okay. So I have a little footnote here that says, or leprosy. So this is referring to leprosy sometimes in your Bibles. It says, but this is uncertain. The Greek word is translated as skin disease throughout chapter 13. So the translator of the Lexham English Septuagint is letting you know that's why it's translated as skin disease there. Okay. Okay, it says, and if the flesh becomes a festering sore in his skin, okay, and becomes healthy again, and there comes in the place of the festering sore a white scar or evident bright spot turning white or inflamed, and it becomes visible to the priest, then the priest will examine it, and behold, the appearance is lower than the skin, and its hair has changed to white, and the priest will declare him unclean. It is a skin disease. It has broken out in the festering sore. But if the priest looks, and behold, no white hair is in it, and it's not lower than the skin of his flesh, and it is faint, the priest will set him apart for 7 days. But if it is spreading and diffusing in the skin, then the priest will declare him unclean. Okay. The infection is a skin disease. It has broken out in the festering sore, but if the bright spot remains in the same territory. All right, so as you see, I'm reading here. Okay. Broken out festering sore, but no hair is in it. Okay. Let's see, hold on. Where did I just change here? In the festering sore, but if the bright spot remains the same territory and it is spreading, it is not a scar from the festering sore, so the priest will clear him. Okay. And so, but if an inflammation from fire develops in the flesh of his skin, and healthy flesh develops in the skin of the burnt area, shiny, bright, white, reddish, or very white, and the priest will examine him and look, his white hair has changed into a bright color, and its appearance is deeper than the skin. It is a skin disease. It has broken out with the inflammation, and the priest will declare him unclean. It is an infection of a skin disease. But if the priest looks, and behold, there's no white hair within the bright, shiny area, it is not deep below the skin, but is dark, then the priest will separate him for 7 days. Then the priest will examine him on the 7th day. If it is spreading vigorously in his skin, then the priest will declare him unclean. It is an infection of a skin disease. It has broken out in the festering sore, but if the bright spot remains in the same territory and is not diffused within the skin, But if it is inconspicuous, the scar is from the inflamed area, and the priest will pronounce him clean, for the nature of it is from the inflamed area. Okay. Now, if on a man or a woman an infection of a skin disease develops on them on the head or in the beard, so this is important for those that think shaving a beard is a sin. Then the priest will examine the infection and look, its appearance is sunken or beneath the skin, but fine, and the light hair is sprouting in it. And the priest will declare him unclean. It is a lesion. It is a skin disease of the head or a skin disease of the beard. And if the priest sees the infection of the wound, and behold, the appearance is not beneath the skin, and yellow hair is not present in it, and the priest will set the infection of the lesion apart for 7 days. And the priest will look at the infection on the 7th day, and behold, the lesion has not spread, and the brownish yellow sprouting hair is not in it, and the appearance of the lesion is not deeper than the skin, and the skin will be shaven. Okay. All right. And of the lesion. So think about it for a second. If this is in the beard, right? He's shaving the area. Okay. So this to me seems to indicate that there's certain allowances even in this commandment of the skin diseases, where if you have a sprouting whitish yellowish hair where the infection was, but it doesn't go deep, you are to shave that part of the skin, which would include that part of your beard. So just something to think about. Okay. And the lesion will not be shaved, and the priest will set the lesion apart for 7 days the second time, and the priest will look at the lesion on the 7th day, and behold, the lesion has not spread within the skin after he was shaved. Okay. And the appearance of the lesion is not deeper than the skin, and the priest will pronounce him clean. When his garments have been washed, he will be clean. But if the lesion is definitely spreading and diffusing within the skin after he has been pronounced clean, and the priest will look, and behold, the lesion has spread within the skin, the priest will not inspect concerning the sprouting yellowish hair, because he is unclean. But if the lesion remains present in its place, and the black hair has risen in it, the lesion has made whole, it is clean, and the priest will pronounce him clean. And if on a man or a woman a brightness develops on the skin of their flesh, being bright and white, and the priest will look, and behold, spots in the skin of their flesh appearing bright white, and it is eczema. The person is clean, it will burst forth within the skin of their flesh. The person is clean. Okay. Very interesting. I always wondered about eczema, so that's kind of interesting. It will burst forth within the skin of their flesh. Okay. The person is clean, and if someone's head has become bald, he is bald. He is clean. So baldness, generally speaking, is not uncleanness. So that's important to note here. And if his head has become bald in the front, he is bald on the forehead, he is clean. But if a white or inflamed infection develops in his bald head or in his baldness on the forehead, it is a skin disease in his bald head or in the baldness on the forehead. And the priest will examine him, and behold, the appearance of the infection is white, inflamed on his bald part or in the bald part of his forehead, like the appearance of a skin disease within the skin of his flesh. He is a person with a skin disease. The priest will declare him uncertain with his infection on his head. Okay. All right. And as for the person with a skin disease who has the infection, have his garments loosened and his head uncovered. Okay. All right. Interesting. So that would mean that, in generally speaking, that's probably referring to uncovering the person's turban. I'm assuming. Okay. And there should be a covering over his mouth and have him declared unclean. All the days when the infection is on him, being unclean, he will be unclean. He shall sit separated. His place to stay will be outside of the encampment or outside the camp. All right. It says, and in a garment, if an infection of a skin disease develops in it, in a wool garment or a linen garment, or in a warp, or in threads of linen, or in a worked wool, or in hide, or anything made of hide, and the infection and contamination becomes greenish. So this would seem to indicate like mildew, or inflamed in the skin, or in the garment, or in the warp, or in the threads, or in any vessel made of skin. It is an infection of a skin disease, and he will show it to the priest. And the priest will examine the infection, and the priest will set the infection apart for 7 days. And the priest will examine the infection on the 7th day. And if the infection is spreading in the garment, whether in the warp or in the thread or on the skin, throughout any skin made at work, it is a serious skin disease. Okay. The infection is unclean. He shall burn up the garment, whether the warp or the threads in the worked wool or in the linen material or in any leather vessel in which the infection is in it, because it is a skin disease. It shall be burned up by fire. And if the priest looks and the infection is not spreading within the garment or within the warp or within the threads or on any vessel, okay, then the priest will make a charge and will wash whatever the infection was on, and the priest will set the infection apart for 7 days for the second time, and the priest will examine it after the infection has been washed, and if this infection has not changed its appearance and the infection is not spreading, it is unclean. It shall be burned up in fire. It has become set in the garment, whether in the warp or in the threads. And if the priest looks and the infection is dark after it has been washed, he will separate it from the clothing or from the skin or from the warp or from the cross threads. And if it still appears in the garment or in the warp or in the threads or in any leather vessel, it is a skin disease. The thing in which the infection is shall be burned up in fire. Okay. 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 Then the garment or warp or the cross threads or any article of skin that was washed and the infection removed from it will also be washed. A second time, it will be clean. This is the law for infection of a skin disease affecting a wool garment or a linen garment or a woven threads or of cross threads or with respect to any article of skin, to pronounce it clean or to make it defiled. So again, this is the law of the skin diseases, also the law of what happens when the skin disease spreads to your garments and stuff like that. Okay, so I just want to thank everyone that's going to see this later. And again, I just want to remind everyone I'm probably not going to be doing much Facebook Live anymore. Just to put a warning out there, my internet signal at my new home here in Piscataway is very bad. My internet signal is horrible. And my laptops, for some reason, are not fully compatible with their internet company. So it's not fully connecting to the internet where I'm getting a consistent signal. So you guys are going to see me a lot from my Android now on Zoom. And so obviously it's going to be very difficult or almost impossible to broadcast from Zoom on my phone to Facebook Live at the same time I'm recording. So you guys are going to have to wait later on, all my brothers and sisters on Facebook. You'll have to wait later for when I can upload this study. Please stay tuned. Tomorrow we will be doing Leviticus 14. Okay, so that was the law of the leprosy, the skin diseases, eczema, skin diseases for the forehead, for skin, when the skin disease is in the baldness of your head or even in your beard. Okay, so please stay tuned, guys. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.